I'm coughing black smoke on a freezing lawn at 2 o'clock in the morning, cradling a wheezing toddler in a Paw Patrol pajama top, while Colleen Davenport, dressed in pearls and a bathrobe with her HOA clipboard clutched like an emotional support animal, screams at the paramedics. "Don't let him near my house," she shouts with genuine fury in her voice. "He broke in. He's a criminal." Behind us, her vinyl palace pops and hisses like microwave bacon. My forearm is blistered and throbbing. My front door across the street is still hanging open. A fire extinguisher tossed on the steps like a dropped microphone. The paramedic, trying to check her son's vitals, looks at me, then at her, then back at me with an expression that says he's seen some things in his career, but this might take the cake. "Ma'am," he says in the patient voice of someone who deals with shock victims regularly, "this man just carried your child out of a burning building." Colleen's response is to clutch her clipboard tighter and demand he write down my address for the police report. Let me back up and explain how saving someone's life became my crime of the century. I'm Evan Bristow, quiet widower, runs a home studio mixing voiceovers for software tutorials. I'm basically the human equivalent of a do not disturb sign. I live in Juniper Meadows, where lawns are measured in inches and smiles in decibels. Our HOA is captained by Colleen Davenport, who has the intensity of a substitute teacher and the soul of a parking ticket. She's a real estate agent by day, which explains her ability to spot violations from 3 houses away, while simultaneously ignoring basic fire safety in her own home. Colleen finds me for philosophical crimes. There was garage door lingering when I left my garage open for 23 minutes while unloading audio equipment. Non-compliant bird feeder, because apparently mine was too tall and attracted the wrong species of finch. And my personal favorite, unapproved empathy. When I let my elderly neighbor, Mr. Patterson, borrow my ladder without filling out a tool-sharing form. I wish I was making this up. The fine was $50. The form was 6 pages long and required both parties to initial next to a clause about liability for acts of God, which apparently includes ladders. I lost my wife Sarah 3 years ago to cancer, and I moved here thinking the quiet would help. Instead, I got Colleen, who once knocked on my door at 7 o'clock in the morning to inform me my trash bins were facing the wrong direction, not tipped over, not overflowing, just rotated 15 off the approved angle. She had a protractor. On a Tuesday night in January, I'm editing a video about spreadsheet formulas when a siren of a different breed starts up. It's Colleen's ancient smoke alarm. The one she mentioned at last month's meeting was decorative and vintage. Through my window, I see orange flicker behind her kitchen shades. My heart drops into my stomach. I dial 911 while sprinting across the street in my socks with the extinguisher I keep for my soldering projects. The operator is asking me questions, but all I can think is that Colleen has a 3-year-old son. Front door is locked. Backslider is also locked. I'm pounding on the glass, shouting Colleen's name. Through the kitchen window, I can see the source. A candle has transformed a curtain into a demon pretzel. Flames climbing toward the ceiling. The smoke is already thick. I can hear a child crying upstairs. That sound flips a switch in my brain. I shoulder the slider with the kind of adrenaline that makes chiropractors wealthy. The frame cracks, glass spiderwebs. One more hit and I'm through. The smoke inside is blinding. I'm crawling extinguisher in one hand, my shirt pulled over my mouth. I spray foam at the curtain fire, but it's already spread to the cabinet. The heat is insane. Upstairs, the crying gets louder. I take the steps, 2 at a time. The kid, Mason, is standing at the top in his Paw Patrol pajamas, screaming. I scoop him up. He's coughing, terrified. "Where's your mom?" I'm asking him, but he's just clinging to me. I find Colleen in the hallway, dazed, coughing, trying to get to her son, but moving like she's underwater. I grab her arm and half drag, half carry both of them down the stairs. The kitchen is fully involved now, flames on the ceiling. We stumble out into the cold just as a window bursts, glass raining onto the lawn. By the time the fire trucks scream in, Colleen has reloaded her personality. The shock has worn off and been replaced by something else. Anger, maybe embarrassment, definitely. She wraps her robe tight, points at me with a shaking finger, and tells the first officer in a voice dripping with accusation, "This man broke into my home. I didn't call him. I didn't give him permission. He had no right." I'm standing there in pajama pants and one sock, my forearms screaming in pain from where I touched something hot, looking like the world's worst cat burglar who only steals smoke. The firefighter nearest to me mutters something under his breath that I don't quite catch, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't complimentary toward Colleen. The next morning, the fire marshal's report is already making the rounds through the neighborhood email chain. Ignition source was a scented candle, one of those 3-wick monstrosities that smell like synthetic cinnamon, left burning under a faux eucalyptus swag she bought from some home decor pyramid scheme. The hallway was partially blocked by a towering console table Colleen had bragged about at the last meeting as HOA approved entry styling, which apparently matters more than being able to evacuate your house. Also noted in bold letters are inoperative smoke detectors on the 2nd floor. According to the report, they'd been disabled because Colleen found them too shrill and they clashed with her aesthetic. Colleen retaliates anyway because in her world, being wrong is just a starting position for negotiation. She calls the cops to file a trespass complaint. She posts to the neighborhood Facebook group that I staged a hero moment for attention, implying I somehow started the fire myself. The post gets 43 reactions before the admin takes it down, but the damage is done. Then she slides a notice under my door printed on official HOA letterhead, finding me $250 for improper extinguisher deployment visible from street, creating an unsightly emergency response scene, and unauthorized entry onto HOA member property without proper documentation. I stare at that notice for a full minute, wondering if I've entered a parallel dimension where logic went to die. I'm holding a piece of paper that's essentially finding me for not letting a toddler burn. Then my doorbell video hits the neighborhood chat posted by Mr. Patterson, bless him, timestamp, clear as day. My 911 call on speaker, me shouting, "Cholin, fire, your house is on fire," while shouldering the slider. You can hear the panic in my voice. You can hear the operator telling me, help is on the way. Then the video switches to Colleen's own camera, the one mounted under that wrought iron blessing that says, "Live, laugh, lawyer," like a threat disguised as decor. It records me carrying Mason out, his little arms wrapped around my neck. It records me going back in for Colleen. It records everything. The marshal's audio is the cherry on top. Someone got a recording of him talking to Colleen while the firefighters were still working. You can hear him say in a tired but patient voice, "Ma'am, this man saved your lives. Your smoke detectors were disabled. Your exit was blocked." Without his intervention, this would have been a very different conversation. Her response, barely audible, is something about property rights. I hire a small bulldog of an attorney named Marta Quill, who comes recommended by Mr. Patterson's daughter. Marta is 62, wears reading glasses on a chain, and has the energy of someone who drinks espresso like water. She listens to my story, watches the videos, reads Colleen's fine, and actually giggles. Then she gets serious. We file an anti-slap motion against the civil suit. Colleen has threatened to incite our state's Good Samaritan statute that protects people who provide emergency assistance. It's ironclad. The cops decline to press charges after reviewing the evidence. In fact, the officer who took Colleen's complaint calls me personally to apologize for the inconvenience. The fire department writes me a thank you note on official letterhead, signed by the chief and 3 of the responding firefighters. I frame it because pettiness is a renewable resource, and I'm planning to hang it right where Colleen can see it from her repaired kitchen window. At the emergency HOA meeting, which Colleen calls thinking she'll get support, Marta shows up with a laptop and a projector. The conference room at the community center goes quiet. Marta shows slides, the marshal's report with the damning details about the disabled smoke detectors highlighted in yellow, the ring footage showing my rescue, a diagram of egress clearance that Colleen violated with her shrine to West Elm and Pottery Barn. She's got building code citations. She's got state fire safety regulations. She's got a timeline showing I was on the phone with 911 before I ever touched Colleen's property. The room gasps in perfect HOA harmony. Board members suddenly find their shoelaces fascinating. One of them, Patricia Chen, who's always been reasonable, raises her hand and asks Colleen directly, "Is it true you disabled your upstairs smoke detectors?" Colleen's face does this thing where she tries to look indignant, but just looks guilty. "They were too loud," she says defensively. "They went off every time I cooked." The insurance adjuster, who is somehow both polite and carnivorous in that special way insurance people can be, asks Colleen to confirm she had disabled upstairs alarms because they were too shrill. He's taking notes, lots of notes. He mentioned something about premium adjustments and liability clauses. Colleen's realtor smile is nowhere to be found. Court day arrives like Christmas morning for the legally vindictive. Colleen arrives in a navy sheath dress and what I can only describe as litigation perfume, something expensive and aggressive. She's got her own lawyer, a guy named Bradford, who looks like he charges by the syllable. They're seated at their table with matching leather portfolios. I'm in a simple suit with Marta, who's wearing a blazer with a tiny fire extinguisher pin on the lapel. I love this woman. Bradford starts with a 15-minute opening about property rights, the sanctity of the home, and how his client has suffered irreparable emotional distress for my unauthorized invasion. He keeps saying invasion like I'm a foreign army. He claims trauma, violation of her sense of security, and emotional HOA harm, which I swear he says with a straight face. I have to bite my tongue to keep from laughing at that last one. The judge, a woman in her 50s, named Rhonda Keating, looks like she's already done with this case. Then Marta stands up. She doesn't give a speech. She just says, "Your Honor, I'd like to play 47 seconds of video." The baft dims the lights. The doorbell footage plays on the screen. You can hear everything. The smoke alarm. My voice shaking as I call 911. The operator asking me questions. Me shouting Colleen's name, begging her to get out. The sound of me hitting the slider. Then Colleen's own security footage. Me carrying Mason out, going back for her. The timestamp is crystal clear. Martia then pulls up the Good Samaritan statute on the screen and reads it aloud. The law is explicit. Anyone who provides emergency care or assistance in good faith is protected from civil liability. She points out that I was literally on a 911 call during the entire rescue. Dispatch has the recording. The fire department has confirmed the emergency was real and imminent. She submits the fire marshal's report as evidence with the parts about the disabled. Smoke detectors and blocked exits highlighted. Judge Keating watches the video, reads the statute, and looks at Colleen and Bradford like they just tried to return a used candle without a receipt. She asks Bradford if he has any evidence that contradicts the video. The 911 recording, the fire marshal's report, or the Good Samaritan law. He stammers something about emotional damages and the principle of the thing. "Your Honor," he says, with less confidence than before. "Property rights are fundamental to our legal system." The judge cuts him off. "So is not letting children burn," she says flatly. Sanctions fall like hail. Her trespass suit is dismissed with prejudice. She's ordered to pay my attorney fees, and the judge refers the smoke alarm negligence to Child Safety Services for a home safety education requirement. When Marta mentions Colleen finding me for improper extinguisher deployment, the judge actually laughs out loud. In a courtroom, the cherry on the sundae comes when the fire department invites me to their spring open house to demonstrate proper extinguisher use. The local paper runs a photo of me smiling next to a prop door labeled "Exit," while a headline reads, "Good Samaritan clears the smoke in Juniper Meadows." The HOA votes 58-3 to remove Kayachin as president. She's barred from enforcement roles for 5 years and assigned to safety. Committee Nan, voting under the supervision of the fire marshal, who now cheerfully calls her clipboard Ski. Her insurer jacks her premiums. Child Safety Services doesn't take a kid, but they make her attend a course where toddlers practice stop, drop, and roll better than she does. As for me, I install new smoke detectors on my block for free by invitation only. Unlike Colleen's fines. I also mount a discreet plaque by my front door that reads, "In case of emergency, break Colleen's rules." The moral of the cul-de-sac is simple. In suburbia, some folks would rather sue the lifeguard than admit they wandered into the deep end. But bylaws don't beat oxygen, and no HOA handbook outranks a house on